Welcome to the Dodgers Prospects Podcast. Very excited. We're going to wrap up or talk about the relief pitching in the Dodgers minor league system today. I'm Casey Porter of Dodgers Daily, joined as I am each and every week by Tim Rogers of Dodgers 2080. So, Tim, welcome in. Excited to finish our talk about the relief pitching. Kind of exhausted. We've spent a lot of time on this. A lot of guys.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
On one basic topic. Yeah.
So welcome in.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, first guy I've got, Kelvin Bautista. I know you got to see a lot of him.
Yeah, he was the guy acquired for Dennis Santana. I had forgotten about that. He's about a small lefty. Let's see. He was just looking at him stuff. He was really good in 2021. His command was really off in 2022. He throws hard. He's got, a fastball change,
slider, big slider.
Is it a big slider? Okay, because I sometimes get confused between what curveball and the slider sometimes. I mean, they got a different break, but some of those big sliders are very. I call it a slurve,
especially to us old guys, because sliders back when we were in the 80s and 90s, early 90s especially, were what they're calling cutters nowadays. You just kind of wanted your slider to move sideways just a little bit off the barrel. They're calling that a cutter nowadays. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So Bautista, I saw him a couple times. And he, like I said, he does throw hard. It's just it's tough with these guys. And it's the common thing, the command. He's got to put it together. I mean, the Dodgers went and got him as one of those kind of a flyer for Dennis Santana. And you hope he works out. There's still plenty of time. He's a pretty young guy, and so there's still plenty of time. It's just, can he get it together? But stuff's there, but he's got to hit those spots and be in the strike zone and be smart and be good in the zone. So it's just not. Same old story.
5'11", 155 pounds. So as you said, not as big, 23 years old. Here's the thing. You mentioned big stuff, that big slider. From June 26th on, check this out, to go to your point as far as it's all about command. And this has been a common theme as we've gone throughout the organizational's depth at the relief pitching. Big stuff, need to work on command. That's been, the common theme throughout all of our shows. Going to continue to be that theme throughout today. From June 26th on for the rest of the season, he gave up just 2 runs, Tim, in outings where he did not walk a hitter. Just 2.
Yeah.
Okay. And that spanned, and those 2 runs were in the same outing on August 14th. So all of his outings other than one from June 26th on, and outings that he did not walk a hitter, he did not give up a run. That spanned 9 outings. So in the other 8, he did not give up a run. 10.2 innings in total during that stretch. And also check this out. Okay, his average against was just 238, but in August it was just 171, and so that tells you just how explosive his stuff is, how hard it is to hit when it's in the zone. But being in the zone was an issue. 49 walks and 55 strikeouts in 54 innings. Okay, so there's no way to sugarcoat that. Explosive stuff when it's in the zone. I think he would probably be the first one to tell you that it's not in the zone enough. And that's probably the number one emphasis for his offseason.
Right. Yep. Who do you got next?
I sell Barrow.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't realize he was so young.
Yeah.
Only 20.
Yeah. And he's been in the organization since 2019. So that's kind of why.
They got him as, right out of 16. So the last real recording we got, he was, hitting 98. I saw a little. I found video of him. I don't recall seeing much of him. I think I got a fraction of an inning or something like that. Well, from what I saw, just from video, that he's got a big fastball, and the fastball has a lot of run on it. Coming into the right. He's a righty, so that coming in on the right-handed batter's box, it looked pretty good to me. I didn't have that much more about him. What did you have on him?
Yeah, good tumbling changeup, really good tumbling changeup. I mean, a lot of these changeups now have a lot of fade to them, which means that they fade back into a right-hander towards the arm side. His is more of that, what you consider, you think of the traditional changeup that just has a straight downward tumble to it.
Yeah.
His looks a little bit more like that. And you mentioned the arm side run, and he does have that. And I don't know, metrically it's hard to tell, and even sometimes the TrackMan isn't exactly perfect in listing exactly what pitch guys are throwing, because if they get on the wrong side of the ball or the grip isn't exactly right, it can show metrically as a different pitch than they're actually trying to throw. But what it looked like to me he throws is a little cutter, because he has some natural cut to that fastball.
Yeah.
So you mentioned being able, and typically speaking, what happens, Tim, this is what the Dodgers do with guys. When they throw the four seam, the pitch you probably saw was up in the zone, and typically the four seams that are up have the arm side run.
Yeah.
And then another thing the Dodgers like to do, they like to pair that with that what they call that four slot fastball, which is arm side to the low corner. Does that make sense? It would be the outside corner to righty, inside corner to lefty. And when they're hitting that four slot, which is across their arm, that's where the ball straightens out a little bit and or gets a little bit of cut. So their fastball has two different actions. They have the ride and run up in the zone. Then they have a little bit of cut when they're throwing to that four slot down in the zone. And he is definitely one of those guys. So Barrow's able to have that combo, then a good tumbling changeup. And so, the walk to strikeout ratio was 2.80, which is above the 2.5 mark that you want it to be. His strikeouts per 9 were almost 11. That's very good. But again, this is going to be a common theme too. Batting average against balls in play against him, 393. You know what that tells you? He's getting behind in the count, and he's having to serve up the cookies. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But whenever he's ahead in the count, he dominates hitters. But then you get behind the count, you just got to serve one up about 91, 92. That's when the batting average of balls in play starts elevating.
Yep. Well, he's got age on his side, so that's a good thing. I do expect to see him beginning of the season at Rancho again, so hopefully get some good footage of him.
Yep.
Let's see.
I've got Jonathan Edwards next.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you put a little bit out of order again?
Am I? Because I got Edwards and then Emmett, unless I'm missing somebody.
Okay. I had Yamel Castillo.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. But let's talk Edwards. So interesting. By him drafted by Texas in round 16 and 20, didn't sign. So he did not get drafted when the Dodgers signed him. They signed him as a free agent, undrafted free agent in 2021. Big guy, 6'6", very limited, lots of Ks, but even more walks. Obviously, he's a guy that the Dodgers see something in. I don't remember seeing him in a game. I see him around the ballpark, but not in the games. So I think they're trying to find right spots to use him because of the control issues and things like that. And not like that the Quakes didn't have a ton of guys with that, but he's definitely someone that they're working through. So I didn't see any video of him or anything, and I never really saw him in action. Did you find anything on him?
Yeah. Okay. In fact, I've got some video of him on all of my social media outlets and platforms. Okay. And the reason why you didn't see him at Rancho was that he didn't get to Rancho until June 22nd. Then he was put on the developmental list on August 3rd, and of course, you would think it was because, need to work on the command, but he throws a big breaking ball. Again, I don't want to call it a slider or a curveball. Like you said, it's hard to tell. And some guys' sliders have so much depth, it looks like what we used to think of as a curveball back in our day, right? So I don't want to label it one way or the other, but the big breaking ball. Another thing about him, he's very tall, 6'6". If you've seen Mark Washington pitch, he looks a lot like him, kind of the same frame, thin and wiry. And then like Mark, he's over the top. So the ball comes out really, really, really high. So the thing that's really exciting about his potential is that when he hits that lower part of the zone with the ball coming out so high, there's going to be a lot of vertical drop to that pitch. And we know the more vertical drop you get to any pitch, the harder it becomes to hit. So if he can ever get command, he came out of Georgia Southern and just a wonderful young man. I'm going to talk to him this coming week and just kind of reset, see where he's at with things and just kind of talk about life with him and his baseball career and where we're headed from here. One really cool thing about him, he has great genes. Check this story out, and this is really cool. His uncle is John Cardos. Okay. And I don't know if you recognize that name or not, but me being a U.S. history teacher,
Yeah.
I recognized it right away. If you remember him and Tommy Smith in 1968 Olympics, when they raised their hand,
right.
he was the one that got the bronze medal in that Olympics and was on that podium. And, so very famous for that. And, again, control 16 walks in 10 innings this year prior to going on to the developmental list. So we'll see how that plays out. This is going to be a big spring training for him. But again, a wonderful young man, lots of talent, lots of ability, but it's raw right now. And we'll see if we can work towards throwing more strikes.
Yeah. Well, good. Any velocities on him?
No, I mean, not other than just your generic, hey, mid 90s, lower to mid 90s. I mean, nothing specific like, hey, he came in hitting 92. Now he's 90. I've got some specifics on other guys, but nothing real specific on him because I don't think velocity was exactly what he was working on a whole lot. So even if we did have velocities, I don't think they would be, real relatable as far as what he's capable of doing because he probably was working on about a million different things other than velocity last year.
Right. Yeah. So Castillo, Yamil Jamil, I'm going to, they all say both.
Yamil?
Yeah. Yamil. Castillo. So 23 years old, right-hander. Saw him a little bit. That Dodger fastball you talked about earlier, he's definitely exhibiting that, especially on the, about the run. And so I saw that. And then it looks like he's got a curveball. To me, it looks like a curve.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not sure, but it looked like a curve to me. And so he was a guy that was out there he was a stalwart at Rancho. So what did you see about him? I know I saw something on social media.
Honestly, Tim, I have not seen video on him, and you and I are identical in this way. And you and I are identical in this way in the sense that if all we have is stats to go by, we are not going to evaluate a guy because they tell no context. So with me not really having seen him pitch with my own eyes, I'm going to refer to you on him. So
not a ton. Like I said, my goal this next year is to get some more views from behind with pitchers and try to take some videos of those types of things up close and personal. Let's see. I had Gabe Emmett next.
Yeah, absolutely. 95 on his fastball.
Yeah,
I think he touched 97.
Yeah.
So when I say 95, that's more like where he sits. 97, and I've had it. I've talked to a couple people, and they've, we think he's hit as high as 97. I'll put you that way.
Yeah.
Great natural arm side run again to that high four seam fastball. So he has that ride and run, but then that same combination, he gets the ride and run with the high fastball, but then he also gets the cut to the 4-slot fastball that's to the low arm side corner. Okay, so and then he has that shorter breaking tight slider. And so he's 21, 6'5", so long, lanky guy, 175 pounds, out of Folsom Lake Community College. Only the second player ever in the history of that community college to produce a professional baseball player. His ERA was a little bit up there, but again, I like a lot of these guys, just working. You're going to see a little bit higher ERA because they're still trying to develop maybe a third pitch, or they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that. So their command's not quite as good. Whereas if you just let them go out there and throw what they did in college, their ERAs would probably be quite a bit lower, but then they wouldn't be growing like they grew last year.
Right. Yeah. So I never saw him live, but I did find some video on him, and I spent kind of more time than usual on looking at him this last night. What my eyes saw was the mechanics looked inconsistent. Arms seem to be coming at different areas and not finishing kind of consistently. And so I think that also will lead into that. First of all, that's fixable.
No
and
doubt.
I'm sure that, and so that's the good news. So
not as tight as you'd like to see the mechanics as far as being
he's
connected
a little
with your lower and upper by half.
Yeah. And so those are fixable. He's a young guy, and that he's very projectable. It's funny. I took a picture of, I thought it was Peter Hubeck back in spring training. way at a distance, and it turns out, oh, it's Emmett. So at a distance,
Yeah.
those guys look a heck of a
Yeah.
lot alike.
Yeah.
Peter
Long
will
and
probably not be
stringy.
covered here. Yeah, Hubeck's a starter.
Yeah.
Um,
I've got Hubeck
all
on
right.
this list because he's played
Do
several
you?
different roles, but
Oh,
and
okay.
I think he could, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, do you want to talk about Peter?
Well, we can jump to him. I've got Edgardo Enriquez. I don't know if you have him on your list, but we can
I
jump to.
don't.
Yeah.
I have him as a starter.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
We can move right past him. So let's move on to Peter Hubeck. I can talk about Peter quite a bit. I love
Yeah,
Peter. I think he's a
I do too.
big prospect. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I do too. I did get to see him quite a bit. And he's a first a really good guy out there.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy to talk to, and very a good teammate. You can see it. Everyone likes him out there. But he's also, he's a very young guy. He was a higher draft pick. What, third round? Third round in 2021 at a high school. Yeah, he's a big tall kid, and he's still skinny. He's still growing. There's there's a lot more there, and he's already throws pretty darn hard. Boy, he can make the ball move. Yeah, I was able to see him, just during warm up. Sometimes I try to get behind the catcher and take some stills. So I'll be taking some video next year. There's just a lot there. He had a good run of starts in there, and then there was a couple that just didn't go well, but the Dodgers are, they're protecting him as a high school arm, a high school arm that they really believe in. I mean, they gave him a nice bonus to come play for the Dodgers, and it was he had a choice of he's from Maryland, and he had he had plenty of college options. I can't remember the choice.
Wake Forest.
It was Wake Forest. Yeah. I mean, that was almost a done deal. But he decided to go with the Dodgers, and I think the Dodgers will be very happy that they made that move.
Yeah, no doubt. And his high school coach was Larry Sheets, who was a Major League Baseball player. And as he is growing up, his dad was one of the assistant coaches, underneath Larry Sheets. And one of the other assistant coaches was Cal Ripken Jr. And so he got to play with Cal Ripken Jr.'s son. Actually, he didn't get to play with Cal Ripken Jr.'s son. He just got to see him play as he was growing up. He did get to play with Gavin Sheets, who was with the White Sox, and Gavin went to Wake Forest, which was a big reason why Peter was going to go to Wake Forest. He had a pretty sweet deal there with the Demon Deacons. Of course, not as sweet as the third-round deal the Dodgers gave him. Yeah. So he chose to go pro. It was a decision that was, not an easy one for him, but when you're the third round, you got to go, right? So, okay, really cool that he gets to see Gavin play because the White Sox facility is right next to the Dodgers. It's the spring training facility. So they get to see each other quite a bit and are really good friends. And Gavin Sheets has been a big mentor for Peter Hubeck as he's grown up. If you watch him pitch, the thing that really sticks out is that he has that big 12-6 curveball. It's kind of like, if you remember the old Clayton Kershaw curveball, he doesn't throw it quite a bit as much anymore. He throws a slider more. But if you remember that big breaking 12-6 curveball Kershaw threw forever, that's what Peter Hubeck has from the right side. And one of the really cool things about him, when he signed with the Dodgers, he had a FaceTime chat with Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler, and it was like the coolest thing in the world for him, kind of get that starstruckness out of the way. And the thing that's really impressive about Peter, he's very, very intelligent, obviously. If you run into all these Dodgers guys, they're all very smart. They take instruction very well. He has an advanced understanding of what's called tunneling, meaning you start your fastball here, then you start your breaking stuff at the same spot, and your fastball rides your breaking stuff, breaks whichever way you want it to. He's very good at tunneling. Usually a high school kid doesn't even know what that concept is, has probably never heard of it. He did it in high school. He already knows how to do it. And as you watch him pitch, you'll see him do that more and more and more. The thing about him is he came into the system at 170 out of high school. He's trying to get to 190, stick at 190, if not a little bit above that. He got promoted on June 2nd. And so, he has a big arm, and I know he got a save and a start in his state championship run there his senior year in Baltimore, Maryland at Gilman. And they almost wanted his, I guess it'd have been his sophomore year, than his junior year. COVID hit. Then he got to finish the deal as a senior, and he was on the bump. He got the start and won as a starter for the first win in the state tournament, then got the save in the last game. So he knows the big moments. He likes the big moments.
Yeah.
He grew up around greatness. And so, with Cal Ripken Jr. and his dad, who's still a principal there at Gilman High School, Gilman School, which is a great school there in Baltimore. So he's been around it. He knows what it looks like. Mm-hmm. And this guy, if you ever see a guy, you go, hey, that guy's going to be in the major league someday for all the different reasons why, he's that guy.
Yeah. There's a lot there. Yeah. Yep. I just haven't projected as a starter.
No doubt. Yeah. But again, just doing sheer math, a guy like that's too talented.
Yeah.
If you don't want to just pin him into one role, because then you're like, well, we already have starters. Well, let's get him on the mound some way, right? So he's kind of that guy.
Yeah. Yep. All right, next. Who do you got?
Madison Jeffrey.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Just got through talking to him, featuring him, and boy, I got to see him all the way back to when he was a true freshman at West Virginia, and wow is all I have to say about this guy. Okay, now if you look at a guy in low A again, and you look at statistics, because again, we've talked about all the things that they're working on. They're working on developing a pitch here. They're working on trying to command location there. And what he'll say is get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's exactly what the lower level of minor leagues is supposed to be for a guy. Hey, throw you out of your comfort box. Let's see what we can do while you're not comfortable. Let's try to develop things outside of your box and see how you handle it. That's kind of Madison Jeffrey. That's where he's been. He's what I call a dog. And that's in the most endearing terms, that means one of the most competitive human beings I have ever seen. He's hit 100 with the fastball. Mm-hmm. He hit 92 with the slider. He has the big leg kick. He has more confidence than any human being I have ever seen pitch. It's not a matter of if, Tim. Now, if you look at the walk rates, they're way astronomically too high. I can't sugarcoat that for him.
Right.
He won't sugarcoat it for himself.
He won't either. Yeah.
Right. But not if. When he gets command, which he's devoted his entire offseason to getting command of his fastball. It's the fastball that's the issue. He can drop the curveball anytime he wants. When, not if, he gets control of that fastball, watch out. Mm-hmm. This dude has maybe the best stuff of any relief pitcher in the minor leagues, period. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that.
Yeah, so electric is the word I use when you're on the mound. So first of all, before the game, you see that everyone's coming out, and then you see this guy with some big old hair.
Oh yeah,
cool old sunglasses. He definitely. You go, oh okay, that guy's confident. Yeah. And but he's also again another really really friendly guy. Yeah. He's great for content, that's for sure. But then, on the mound, I took a ton of pictures of him. He's just fun to watch. Yeah, he is just everything's electric about him. He's got that presence out there you're talking about. Ball really explodes there. Mm-hmm. And I found an old scouting report, and he said he threw used to throw a changeup on a slider. I guess he moved off this. I've never even seen him throw a changeup that I remember, and it looks like he moved off the slider to a bigger curveball. Then, huh?
Yeah. Make it, a little bit bigger. He hit, like I said, he has a 92 cutter to pair with a late breaking tight slider. So he's a fastball cutter.
Yeah, there's
slider
the slider.
Guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, kind of what you do is you add that cutter, and then the pitch that has depth that you're calling a curveball, you give it a little bit less depth, and then you make it a slider, right? That's kind of what he's done.
Yeah.
So he's the fastball cutter slider guy.
Yeah. So, keep your eye on him. I don't know. I think he does go to Great Lakes next year. I'll miss him around the ballpark, but he was there, for most of the season. So,
am I exaggerating when I say he might have the best stuff of any reliever in the system? It's pure stuff.
It's fun to
pure
watch.
Stuff. Yeah.
It's tough to say for that, but I get it. I can see where you're coming from on that. Like,
man, he's explosive.
He's always fun to watch. So, all right, who's next for you?
Well, I'm going to go there, and you've been trying to go there for about a month now. Jimmy Lewis.
The Braden Fisher clone. Yeah, I just said it. I was about to say Braden Fisher, Jimmy Lewis. They are very, very much alike. And oh my gosh, thank goodness they have different numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Second round pick,
both from Texas,
2019 draft. Yeah, that's right. Yep. And he was drafted out of high school. And he's a guy that ran into some shoulder issues. It's been, you kind of look at his old scouting reports, and he had a lot of command with the inside the zone, everything. And it doesn't seem like it's returned yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for him, it's just the shoulder is. They talk about Tommy John being catastrophic. Shoulder is worse. It's actually tougher to fix. Where Julio Urias is blessed that he was able to come back from his shoulder surgery. That very well could have ended his career.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's the exception, not the rule on these
Mm-hmm.
things. So I don't know the details of Jimmy Lewis's shoulder injuries and things like that. And I'm just an internet doctor. That's it. And so, they say, out of school, he's consistent with his command and just, and then you go, okay, how does he project? Because his stuff, the build, the stuff is starter stuff. It doesn't, it's not the, hey, I got that, 100-mile-an-hour stuff coming out of with the nasty slider, the Madison Jeffrey type guy who is just screams reliever at you.
Mm-hmm.
And Lewis, to me, screams starter. It's just a matter of what happens with him. And can he get his command back?
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's tough for him. It's got to be tough for him. Have you talked to him?
Have not yet.
Okay,
no, not yet. No,
but you did talk to Braden Fisher.
Yes, I did. Yeah, absolutely, I did. From League City, and Jimmy's from the Austin Lake Travis High School, which I'm very familiar. I know your son just moved out to Austin, so you're familiar with that area. But Lake Travis is one of the best sporting high schools, for every sport, football, baseball, all of them. So he came from very, very high competitive levels, and he was drafted in the second round of the competitive balance draft. And to kind of give you a comparison as far as how talented he is, Clayton Beater was also drafted by the Dodgers in the competitive balance draft, I guess, round B. Okay, so same with Jimmy Lewis. That just goes to show you how high the Dodgers were when they drafted him. Another one of those guys that's long and lanky. Another one of those guys like Jonathan Edwards that really has a high release. So whenever he throws it downhill to the bottom of the zone, it drops a lot. Okay, and he is very, very well respected. I just got through doing the All Grit team for the Dodgers Daily All Grit team. I reached out to all the players that I've been in communication with and said, hey, who do you think's the grittiest player? I'm going to put together a top 15 list. And they all responded back, and I'm going to release that tomorrow. He was on that list.
Yeah.
Okay. And he had comments from his teammates. So that tells you what they think about him. His delivery is definitely unique. And like I said, it should be good at carrying the bottom of that zone because it comes out really high. And with that spin rate, it looks like it's going to drop out of the zone, but it stays at the bottom of the zone. Okay. So he gets a lot of downward movement. Curveball, is in the upper 70s range. His fastball is hit as high as 97. So the stuff is there. His changeup is still developing. And, he's had plenty of time in the development list so he looks like a 3-pitch guy, a changeup, fastball, curveball guy. So that would tell you probably, maybe middle relief, maybe high leverage, late inning relief, probably not closer type deal. But again, it's going to be a matter of, can he get healthy? Can he get out and get back on a leash in terms of a pitch count? And hopefully he can do that in 2023.
Yeah, I'd like to see him stretch out for sure as a starter.
No doubt.
But had to be included on this list for sure.
Orlando Ortiz Mayer.
Oh, okay. I have him as a starter.
Okay, that's fine. You would probably know more about that than I would. I don't really. I just kind of went down and looked at guys that I had seen pitch before. So
yeah, I saw a little bit. So I had. It's an interesting guy, Livan Reynoso.
Mm-hmm.
He was an undrafted free agent, and his last team he played on before the Dodgers was the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah,
and he was a third baseman. I didn't get eyes on him at all. He's 24, so he's a converted infielder from third base. He had some nice numbers with the Savannah Bananas too. Just another one of those. Hey, keep that name in the back of your mind, and when you see him, let's see what he's got. I have no idea. He must be right-handed since he played.
He is.
Third.
I've got
since
video.
He played third base.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after that, the last guy I have is Martin Santana. Again, brief eyes on him, and I think he played most of the season at Rancho, but didn't get a ton of work. I know, so I don't have much on him, but he was there all year, a lot of the year, not all year. I don't think, and I didn't see him. He was always around. But he seemed to spend a lot of time on the developmental list, and he was one of those guys bouncing back and forth. It seemed like just from what they do sometimes with players is they don't send them actually to Arizona.
Right.
They just put them on the developmental list to go, okay, well, we need a spot, so we're going to put this guy on it, and he stays there for a little bit, and then they might bring him back, or he stays there for a little bit. But at least they used to not even pay guys when they were on the developmental list. Now they do. Thank goodness. So did you ever I couldn't find anything on him.
Yeah. He was actually with Rancho for 3 months, the June, July, August period of the year. So, a guy that four-seam, again, another one of those four-seam ride and run type guys with good arm side run at the top of the zone. And then also, that combo. This is that combo we've been talking about, that four-seam ride and run top, and then that four slot bottom of the zone and arm side corner cut to it. So he has that combo going. And then he has, I don't know, of course they don't have the TrackMan set up for guys like me to look at. So unless you're there actually talking to Ramon and or Duran, you don't really know exactly what pitch they're working on or throwing that night, but it looks like a two-seam sinker to me because it has that type of action at the bottom of the zone where it has that little cut to it, sometimes an arm side cut and a little bit of sink to it. So it looks like to me he's throwing a two-seam and then also a cutter and then a fastball at the top. Don't quote me on that, but just seeing video of him. If you want to see video of him, I have video of him on my Twitter and or Instagram, but it looks like the four-seam ride and run top and then the little cut to it at the bottom combined with the sinker at the bottom of the zone and then also a cutter. That's what it looks like to me. So Martin Santana, a young man that, like I said, he went to the developmental list, I believe, in August. And, he's 22 years old, so still young, 6'4", 165, so wiry, so still a lot of time to develop. And that he's in a great place to do it because Duran and Ramon, and then when you get up to Great Lakes, Dave, and then, Ryan Dinnick there at Tulsa, it's a great system to be in. So, a lot of time to develop for him.
Well, there is a note on Santana that I did find. He actually is he's one of those guys that actually got his degree, his high school degree in the school that the Dodgers have set up.
Oh yeah,
down in the Dominican.
Very cool.
Yeah, and so that's an interesting note, and just something that the Dodgers do. They are just these guys are signed as 16-year-olds.
Yeah. And
they're usually, they don't get to quote finish high school, even if they're in high school at the time. So they go out and the Dodgers have a spot for them to actually go learn so they can get that high school degree that allows them to, go further if they want.
Yep. And
they also, of course, spend a ton of time and it's optional for them to learn English. And some of those guys, they take advantage of it, and it's obvious. Some of those guys have come out, and it's amazing the changes or the differences it can make with them. And seems like the guys who, and there's also guys that speak English that are trying to learn Spanish. So those guys are able to come together a bit more. That's fun to watch. And so that's just a little note on Martin Santana. Did you have anyone else?
No, I didn't.
I don't either.
That's it for me. Wow. So you got any final thoughts? About a minute left.
Yeah. again, the command is it. That's going to be king. Of all these guys, I definitely see Madison Jeffrey as that guy. That
I had Robleski too, but he's more of the starter role. But and if you want to,
I left him. Yeah,
if you want to, I just talked to him. He's from OSU. I know him very well. So if you need more about him, we've got plenty of him on either one of our sites.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see him. Hopefully he starts at Rancho and gets some work in because I know he's recovering from Tommy John. But I never got to see him live, so I really want to see
big stuff.
Yeah. Just looking back at it. Oh, okay, this is a guy. So I don't know how much else. I'm glad we were able to do this, and next week we'll see what we can do for our next topic.
Yep, no doubt. Hey, fans, just a reminder, go ahead and check out Dodgers 2080 and DodgersDaily.net, where we provide you more content and all these prospects. And don't forget, hey, if you like this video, if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click that like button. Leave a comment, tell all your friends about the Dodgers Prospects Podcast so Tim and I can keep providing you content like this in the future. As always, thanks for tuning in and go Dodgers.